the war in Vietnam, and it didn't end.
A second wave of MPs with fixed bayonets in scabbards move into position.
When I had a radio show in San Francisco, and it was about the time that the My Lai massacre occurred, and I compared Lieutenant Calley to Charles Manson and the soldiers under Calley to the family under Manson. It was similar because they both had to do with brainwashing. You know, these were American boys who were turned into killers. And the same thing happened with the Manson family. They were conned by Manson into his value system and became killers. Manson was kind of an individualized version of the state, but they both had their hierarchy and they both had the following orders. So I think the Nuremberg trial would apply equally to the Manson family and the soldiers in the My Lai massacre.
1944, I went into a judge that was the same judge that was in Nuremberg, who was hanging Waffen soldiers over there in the war. I stayed in the judge's robes under Dr. Hartman. I'm like his little boy. He raised me all my life. Everything I know, I got inside. I don't have any parents. I don't have mothers and fathers and family unit like you guys do, okay? I live in prison. I was raised inside the judge's body. I'm in the judge's robe.
You've all judged yourselves poorly.
Are you guys proud of a system where a man cannot defend himself? Are you proud of it?
That was an 8-month trial with many witnesses. What are you going to do now?
That was a trial, 8 months of prosecution testimony. They've convicted these people, and you are next, all of you.
What do you do now?
Listen to me. There are many more men who are experiencing the same injustice. There's a revolution coming very soon.
And the love will shine with you. It's your Constitution. How do you go, Charlie? You know what they're doing to your Constitution? What's that? What are they doing? They're making a joke out of your Constitution. Love's not in your courtroom, and God is not in your heart. What happened to them today? They do what they want.
When Manson came here, it was probably the kind of scene he would enjoy very much. A lot of available women, a lot of drug traffic, a lot of psychic energy. Everybody was using drugs every day and walking down the street stoned out of their heads or having bad trips. And it was an environment I think he might have enjoyed. It was kind of hellish. It was something like Hieronymus Bosch might have enjoyed painting if he were alive in those times. There were so many freaks and so many extremes, but the good people, the original people had left. They were gone. So all you had here was these biker gangs, speed freaks, and these innocent young people who came looking for the promise of peace and love and got exploited by these kind of characters.
Peace and love, the 60s, flower children, da-da-da-da. That's the kind of thing that would give him an entree into the most vulnerable market. See, if he'd have thought he could control some other group, he would have got their nomenclature down and went there. But this was the most vulnerable. It was obviously the most vulnerable because it was morally deficient, it was young and inexperienced, it was a great vacuum of what to do, where to go. Very good opportunity. So he learns to say peace and love, la la la. It's the right bait for the fish.
Now the nickname is hash berries, the favorite pastimes of the hippies, besides taking drugs, are demonstrations and parting, seminars, and groups of discussions.
There was like a war between the generations. The older people saw the hippie movement as representing some kind of anarchism, some threat to their entire way of life, and they felt threatened enough by it to overreact, and there was really no place in society you could feel unthreatened. There was no place to hide by '68.
I'm not a child of the 60s. I wasn't a hippie. I'm a child of the 50s. I'm a rip. My heroes were World War II. My heroes were Cliffs of Dover, man. My heroes were Eleanor Wants War. You remember all them guys? In other words, like Roosevelt. I'm not a kid. I'm almost 60 years old, man.
When Charlie was arrested and all the family was arrested and all the violence came into the newspapers, it had a devastating effect on the counterculture in the Haight-Ashbury community. And it was like dream became a nightmare. Everything had gone wrong. And of course, part of the problem was that's what the media focused on. The worst examples of the counterculture to show that the 60s was, all negative. The Manson family became the symbol of the counterculture in the 60s rather than the free clinic movement or rock concerts or all the positive stuff. So it was a very violent, very disillusioning year.
Put in free sex, no accountability, drugs, acceptable anarchy. And what do we expect to get? Do we expect to get utopia? Wish we would, but no. Well, that's not what we're going to get. We're going to get chaos. And we got chaos.
There's a time for living. The time keeps on flying. Think you're loving, baby, and all you're doing is crying.
I was in the Terminal Island Penitentiary, or correctional facility, if you will, being corrected from my importing of marijuana. And Charlie was in the yard singing, and I had some friends in the music business, and I heard Charlie singing. He was rather like a young Frankie Lane. He had that lilt in his voice.
Frustration and doubt.
Well, I thought his voice was good, and it was during the period, the folk period, and the young hippie stuff and the new music, and I thought he would fit in.
Sad game. Mad game.
Charlie didn't like the hippies or the hippie movement. Charlie, if everybody would do this, say peace and love, and Charlie would always go like this, one, us, me. So Charlie just used the hippie movement, I think, for his own benefit. I definitely didn't think he had that real love that people really were trying to put out.
Oh, look at your game, girl.
Here's one of my sins, and I'll confess to you clearly and openly to the world. I never realized how much mind I was holding with those people. I never realized how weak you people are outside.
He's a very charismatic person, and there was no reality testing, and a lot of people were taking LSD and other drugs, and Charlie would use LSD to reinforce that he had magic, that he was this all-powerful person that could make things move, that could read people's minds and know what their thoughts were. And so that was all part of that psychedelic drug counterculture then. If you back up and say, well, that's crazy, reality test, but the whole community was like that because there were so many susceptible young people that came here that were looking for something to believe.